introduce myself to you and to our viewers. I'm Sean. I currently live in Israel, and I am a strength and conditioning coach. I know you don't like the word conditioning; you like the word speed better. I did some stalking on your Instagram, and I am currently working with Team Israel flag football, both men and women. And I loved your philosophy. I loved your ideas. I saw what you're putting out there, so I'm really honored to have you on the show. And if you could introduce yourself.
Awesome. Well, thank you. I'm really excited to be here. I know we've been trying to make this happen for a while.
Uh-huh.
So I'm just like super pumped to just dive in. I know you and I align a lot in our philosophies as far as performance and just building the complete athlete and human. So this will be good.
All right, so why don't you, without further ado, can you please tell us who you are, what you do, where you live, what you specialize in?
Sure. Yeah. Now that I'm about 9 years into this, I don't even know what to call myself anymore because it's just evolved so much. So I'll just go back to when I started. I was initially a skills trainer for youth soccer players. So working on more of the technical side of the game, shooting, 1v1 moves, passing, all of the stuff with the ball. And then about a year into that, I realized that a lot of these kids were getting overuse injury, ACL stats were starting to go up even more. And I was just looking around the youth soccer world and just asking, well, what do these kids need? And I found that they weren't getting a lot of the general physical preparation work. So the speed development, the total body strength, working on how to decelerate and control their bodies, especially with like non-contact ACLs. There were a lot of those happening, and a lot of those occur from a quick deceleration or cut or change of direction. So back in 2013, I decided to go all in with strength and conditioning, got certified, started working at a performance facility, and I was there for several years. And I am now starting to just grow the performance side more into the mental and the emotional side of it, and not just the physical, because I started seeing some of my strongest girls getting injured. And I'm like, well, what's going on with that? So it's just been a continuous puzzle to solve. So now I guess I would say I'm more of a human performance coach.
I usually use the word performance coach as well, but people are like, "What's a performance coach?" There's so many.
Yeah.
We kind of have, as being performance coaches, we always have to categorize ourselves in this box. Wait, so you work with them in the field, or you work with them in the gym, or you teach them how to, shoot a ball? There's no like clear cut line. Before we delve into today's topic, because you mentioned that you transitioned from being like a soccer skill specific coach to a strength. By the way, is the audio good? Can you hear me clearly?
Yeah, I can hear
So
you. Yep.
awesome. So before we delve into today's topic, you mentioned that you delved from being a soccer skill specific coach to a strength and speed and performance and mental coach. So do you believe here in Israel, there's a huge problem and there's not enough strength and conditioning coaches working with athletes, and it's all early specialization. So you're taking an 8-year-old, you're making him the best soccer player in the world, and he gets to 18 and his career is over because he has no athleticism built yet. Super common here in Israel. I'm not sure what it's like in Florida, or yes, Florida, right? You just moved to Florida
Yes.
at the moment. But do you believe that every skilled coach should also be a strength and conditioning coach, or at least have some strength and conditioning knowledge, and vice versa? Every strength and conditioning or performance coach should have the base knowledge of the sport that he is coaching or teaching in.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I think every skills coach should have a basic knowledge because it's so valuable to incorporate this stuff into their sessions. So it is very similar out here to where you are at, and I think all over the world with early specialization. And I'm not totally against it. I'm against that's the only thing the child's doing. So they're just doing their sport and they're not getting play within the neighborhood or on the playground, or they're not doing general physical preparation to really build their entire body. So if we look at just the average youth soccer schedule, for example, in America, it's at minimum 3 practices a week. And then that 4th day might be a game. That 5th day might be with their skills trainer. So when we look at what the body's doing in all those days, they're overusing the hip flexors, quads, and they're just more anteriorly dominated. And what's happening is they're not strong enough in other parts of their body. That's going to make them resilient to knee injury, or helping them improve stability of the knee, or being able to control their momentum, or just have body awareness. And I just talked to a physical therapist about concussions, and concussions are not necessarily a neck strength issue, but it's just not having awareness of your surroundings and being able to react quickly, or like scan the field. And if kids are doing soccer all the time, their focus is so at their feet. Whereas if they would be playing other sports like basketball or tennis or handball, they'd be getting more of that that awareness, and their head being more up. And that's only going to enhance those soccer specific skills, like being able to see the field well and react and be agile. So I'm a huge proponent of every kid needs to become really amazing athletes, but they can do both. They can become really good athletes and really good soccer players at the same time. It doesn't need to be this black or white, like, oh, early specialization's bad. It's like, no, we can have it all, but everyone needs to have the education.
Wow, that's a really fascinating way to put it. I remember when I was working with the soccer academy here in Israel, so they gave me like a corner of the field. And they're like, all right, you have 15 minutes. So I said to him, 15 minutes once a week. That's going to be really effective. But I managed to wiggle it to efficient. I said, okay, let's make a deal. I'm allowed to give them the warm-up. So during the warm-up, we put some dynamic mobility work in stability, rate of force development, landing mechanics, accelerating, deaccelerating. And as far as this coach is concerned, who unfortunately didn't have any knowledge in the strength and performance world, is like, oh, it's a great warm-up. So I got to sneak in like 15, 20 minutes for the kids before their soccer skill session. And then I said, how about you send me 6 kids at a time for 15 minutes? I'll do some basic movement patterns with them, and I'll put them back on the field and they can work their skill work. So I managed to get 50 minutes, but very high quality 4 to 6 athletes at a time, instead of trying to teach 20 kids how to squat at once. So that was my genius idea to work with the kids. Like I agree with what you're saying, that you do need to teach the kids the ball skill. Just because they're an athlete doesn't mean that they'll be a good soccer player or football player, depending on where you are in the world. But it has to be like balanced out as they grow as players. And what they're lacking, what I feel is what they're lacking in more, at least in my field, is the athleticism. So it's not take away from their ball skills, but hey, let's build up their athleticism in line and in parallel with their ball skills.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's a great point as far as sneaking it in. And the warm up is the best way to do that. And that's when like parents and coaches don't realize you're like actually giving the kids what they need. And I've used this so many times. Like, I'll still do like a little bit of skills, but the warm up to that session is going to be like 15 minutes, no ball. We're working on skipping patterns, squatting, bear crawling, crab walking, playing ankle tag, or just like things that just aren't their sport. And then it's like, okay, well, that was the warm up. We'll do the actual session here. And no one even notices. And that's the best way to do it, which I think it's good that skills trainers have an understanding of the long-term athletic development model and what the basic motor skills are and what the movement patterns are that kids need. So eventually when they get into high school and they start to specialize, then we can, oh, my alarm's going off. Then we can start to load them up and get them strength training in the gym.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I kind of look at it like a linear model. Like I look at the 8-year-old kids that I've worked with, and I also work with, 20-year-old athletes. And I say, like training age, right? So in Israel, you get 18 to 30-year-olds whose training age is 0. They've never touched a dumbbell, barbell, kettlebell before. So
Yeah.
I can't load him up in any form or manner. In fact, this person he or her doesn't even know how to squat with a barbell. If you teach the kid at 8 years old that fundamental movement pattern, squat, hinge, push something overhead, how to brace correctly, how to diaphragmic breathe, how to keep his neck stable, like you were mentioning with the concussions, you don't even have to load up a gajillion kilo. Well, we use kilo here in Israel, but you don't have to load up a gajillion pounds. just teach him to squat. Then when he's 15 and he gets to the weight room or 12, whenever it is, and the strength coach says, here's a squat. He's like, yeah, I did this on the field, I remember. And then it just kind of progresses from there. That's my methodology. Anyways, what I want to delve in today with you, and I think you're really the perfect role. You're a role model for me as well, by the way, even though we've only met through Instagram. I think you're the perfect role model for it. Is really building the wholesome, holistic athlete, not just in the gym or the field, court, turf, whatever it may be, but actually building them outside the field as well. What do they do in their daily life? Are they sitting a lot? Do they have a spiritual practice? Do they have a meditation practice? Now, the purists among us coaches will be like, what do you mean? Who says meditating gets them better? But it's not about that. It's about, you're a human being, I'm a human being, and we are role models for other human beings. So if we're just going to be like gung-ho and be like, all right, eat your macros, bro, and do your power cleans and go play sports, we're not creating human beings. But as I said before, we're building human beings. So we have to add the humane side to it. And I've had so many kids and athletes who look up to me, and I'm sure your athletes adore you as well. So it's important that we teach them, educate them, and internalize it and practice ourselves. So without further ado, what non-gym and field work or even skill work essentials would you say that you would have your athletes or encourage your athletes to be doing?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really love diving into this. This is something I've just blossomed into in the past couple of years. And, it might have been because of my own journey, but also just what I've observed. And with my athletes, what I've seen, especially early in my career, was, again, like my strongest and fastest girls, some of them would crack under pressure or not perform well during the game. Like they do great in the weight room with me and be like so on, but then on the field, they're not performing at their best. Or I might have a girl who's strength training, but she's still getting stress fractures and overuse injuries. So then I was like, wait a minute, what else is going on here? Because we all know the benefits of loading and strength training. Okay, so strong bones, stronger muscles, better acceleration, better speed, and all these performance aspects. But then it's like, okay, if you're strength training a lot, but maybe you're not getting the nourishment you need, like vitamin D and calcium, you're going to be more susceptible to stress fractures. And I've had girls that's happened to, and I failed as a coach because I wasn't educated back then on the nutrition side of it. And now nutrition is an ongoing part of our discussion and our sessions. And it's to the point where I have to be repetitive in my messaging, almost annoying with them, because the more they hear it and the more I lead by example, the more they start to nourish and fuel their bodies accordingly. Other things that we work on are meditation and recovery. And I'm really big on recovery and self-care right now. And I think it's been my own personal journey, because back in 2018, when I was just overworking myself and coaching all the time and never taking time for myself, all that stress accumulated. And it caused me to suffer panic attacks, and to the point where I had to go to the emergency room. So then I was like, wait a minute, like I'm not practicing what I preach to my athletes. And I need to understand that if their nervous systems are constantly overstimulated or they're overthinking, then yeah, no wonder come game time, they're cracking under pressure or their muscles aren't firing in the way I want them to fire, because they didn't get any of their recovery. So we talk a lot about meditation. It's sometimes their most favorite part of the session is when we take 5 minutes to just breathe. We talk a lot about just sleep hacks and making sure they're getting sunlight, they're dimming the lights at night before bed, maybe they're taking a cold shower, or they're putting their feet up, or they're doing some slow belly breathing before bed so they sleep better. And those are the main pieces where the athlete becomes their most powerful. So my mantra now is, an athlete is as strong and powerful as their recovery routine. All of the magic happens during their recovery. That's when they're able to perform and to be able to think quicker and be sharper on the field. It happens during their sleep, their meditation. So this is all an absolute non-negotiable for me as a coach, to continue to have these discussions.
Wow, amazing. I really resonate with everything you said. It's funny because I don't know if you're familiar with like the Wim Hof method.
I
but
love Wim Hof.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's why I'm in an ice bath right now.
Yeah.
So same thing as me. As I grew as a human being, I was able to carry over the practices that I took upon myself to my athletes. So when I began adding Wim Hof daily, they're like, this is doing amazing things for me. Let me do it for my athletes as well. So obviously, depending on timing, but now most of my athletes will do a quick, like 5 to 10 minute breathing session somewhere within the workout. And it could also obviously depend on how he or she is feeling, how much time we have. If we only have 45 minutes, maybe I'll, do some mobility and go straight into strength. But if we have a longer session, then I'll definitely add some mindfulness, some journaling. I think that I don't like to put things in a box, but I would say there's two kind of things you can do outside the weight rooms. There's things that will directly affect your recovery and performance, like nutrition, sleeping properly, hydration. And then there's the things which you may not directly see the carryover, such as, mindfulness, journaling, spending some time in sunshine, but it's definitely doing wonders for your body and repairing your system without you essentially realizing. So usually, like the whole concept of rest days versus active recovery days. So an active recovery day could be in the gym, but it can also be in the park with loved ones, in the sunshine, exposing yourself to earth, playing with your dog. And you can weigh them both and say, okay, well, he's in the gym, he or she, I keep on saying he, sorry, reverting to
Yeah.
he, she, it, they, frog, whatever they may be. That's a different conversation for previous podcasts.
Yeah.
Are in the gym and, they're doing fundamental movement patterns with a lightweight, which might be great for them, really to like, get blood flowing. But what may be even greater for them is where they can move with their loved ones. So they're getting like the emotional aspect of being around people. And I'm not sure if you've into this at all, but like grounding and earthing, I'm super into it. Like I'm into the whole I'm on the barefoot train.
Yep.
I
Yep.
train barefoot with my athletes. I expose myself to earth every day. And I don't encourage my athletes to start running barefoot, but I do encourage them to spend time outdoors on earth. Because if it doesn't do anything, then okay, they spend some time outdoors. If it does do something, fantastic. Same thing with sleep. Like literally a half an hour before our Zoom, before our podcast, one of my clients sent me a message. He's like, how do I sleep? And I'm like, I'm not quite sure what you mean by that question, but here's a 7-minute voice note on it. So I said, give yourself a caffeine curfew, get off computers and
Yeah.
phones late at night, do some meditation before bed. And he's like, yeah, I never sleep. I said, great. So you're not coming into morning sessions anymore until we get your sleep hack. Because what's the point of beating yourself up in the gym if you're not going to get, your good 7-8 hours of sleep a night?
Mm-hmm. I love that. And everything you're talking about is just keeping things as simple as possible. And when you're working with youth athletes, simplicity is the highest form of sophistication. And when we go outside into nature, that's where all of our answers are. That's where healing is. Movement, sunlight, earthing, walking around barefoot, connecting with other people. That's where we feel the most in our power and healed and relaxed. And we we could dive into the rabbit hole of, oh well, are there research studies on this? And
Yeah.
it's like, no, like look at how humans evolved. And we've evolved because of movement and sunlight and getting our rest and eating nutrient dense and protein rich foods. We can even get into fasting, but I don't talk about that for youth athletes. But for myself, absolutely huge health benefits there. But now that I'm in year 9 of my career, it's like I'm resorting back to being more simple in my approach. When I was in my early years and starting to like build myself as a coach, I was like, oh, I want to go to this like fancy performance facility with all these like gadgets and tools and data and tech and all this. And now I'm just like, I don't really need that much, because I look back into like the 90s as an example, when we were just going outside, we were playing flag football with the neighbors, or baseball or dodgeball or hide and seek, and just moving and connecting. We all still developed into great athletes. And the greats right now, like Michael Jordan, Messi, even like Mia Hamm, they lived that simple, carefree childhood outside. And it's like, why now in 2021 are we trying to go against that? Why are we trying to do the opposite of that when we have all these success stories and these case studies. So I just find it really interesting. And I just like to keep things as simple as possible now, and to really teach these kids too that it is simple, and you guys have control of your performance and your internal health, and it's really easy to execute. It doesn't mean it's not going to be hard. You got to be consistent with it, but it's really, really that simple.
Ooh, I couldn't help but think of when you were saying like gadgets. So whenever I walk into like a top tier strength and conditioning facility, I think of, you know, the Little Mermaid song, like I've got gadgets and gizmos
Yeah, yeah.
aplenty. Like I see all the like electrons that they attach to the athlete as they perform a jump, and like
Yeah.
reaction lights. And don't get me wrong, those are freaking cool. In fact, I own many of these gadgets, but for my
Yeah.
facility, I run a small strength and conditioning facility here. But like, let's take a step back. Simple is super good and it's super efficient, especially for youth athletes. I think that athletic development is over, what's the word, not oversimplified. Help me out here.
Complicated.
Over complex for youth athletes. Literally take the kid, give him like a kettlebell and say walk. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
move.
Yeah.
Like as simple as it sounds. Like most people don't learn how to walk. So here, take something heavy and squat with it. Take something heavy and push it over your head in a good manner. Take some heavy, take a walk. It's so simple. And the only real time I would think that you have to delve into the complexities of training is when you're dealing with a fully mature, fully developed, advanced D1 level athlete who's about to like get accepted to the NFL, or you know, what's the soccer equivalent of the NFL?
We have the women's league, we have
Right.
EPL. There's so many.
Right. So I'm saying like whatever, get into like professional sport or Olympics. Okay, fine. This dude's advanced. He or she can squat his body weight, twice his body weight. Okay, let's do the fancy shit with him, right? But for most people, even and I work with like professional athletes who play for Team Israel, they're not at that level. So hey, let's take it a step
Yeah.
back and let's simplify things and let's get stronger. Let's get more powerful. Let's teach them how to jump and land. Like first thing someone comes into my gym, first step, I teach them how to land, because and I explain to them why. This guy or girl, they want to play baseball, basketball. I say every time you jump or shoot a ball or catch or kick, you're landing. And if you can't land correctly, what does it matter if I can squat 100 kilo, or what does it matter if I'm the best goalie that the world has? Once they learn how to land, which is like a basic human function, let's learn how to jump. And from there, it's just, you know, load the things slowly and progressively over time. And what I did want to mention regarding fasting, so I wrote it down as a like memo to talk to you about it, because
Yeah.
I saw one of your posts about fasting and I right away connected the dots, like either for intermittent fasting purposes or for spiritual practice or for both. And fasting is amazing because it's one of the things that can carry over to both things. It does improve body composition. It can help with you know, food and stuff. Obviously, all youth athletes listening, please don't fast. Please eat
Yeah,
yummy.
don't. Not for youth athletes.
Yeah,
For
please eat.
college athletes.
Especially with like a future episode is going to be at eating disorders. I've done like a couple of episodes about mental health. Fasting is
Yeah.
a very, very dark hole that not all of us are physically capable of going down. But if fasting is an option, there's numerous effects on body composition and nutrition effects. And there's also like the spiritual practice of, you know, abstaining from physical, I guess pleasures is the right word to an extent.
Yes.
And so it
Yes.
kind of checks off both boxes. Yeah, so go ahead, fasting on you.
Yeah, so I'll get in that soon, because I want to come back to what you mentioned about the maturity of the kid. And I think it's great that like you're not really loading them or putting through the more advanced complicated stuff until they are fully mature.
Mm-hmm.
And we can look at maturity from a physical standpoint, but also the mental standpoint. And, you know, while you can measure a 9-year-old's broad jump, or, you know, measure their like pull up max, whatever it is, they're not emotionally ready for that. Like 9-year-olds aren't ready to be like tracked and tested. They just want to have fun and enjoy the moment and play and be carefree. So yes, we can measure them, but there's no need. And people have to understand the emotional needs of the kids as well. And it's funny, I had a dad the other day asked me, he's like, for 9-year-old boys, he asked me, well, how do you measure progress? And I, you know, it's not to like hate on what he was saying, because a lot of parents, you know, they're just curious and they just want to be educated. And I said to him, I was like, I don't evaluate boys until they're in middle school. And right now, my progress tracking is, are they smiling? Are they laughing after sessions? And are they just, you know, generally moving in a way that is quick and efficient? And these are things that we can see over time, and we can't discredit the coach's eye either when we're watching kids, and especially with like 9-year-olds or younger kids. It's like, you see how they're doing when you put them in these like new environments, or you have them play a new game or do a new competition, and you can see, okay, are they thinking quickly and are they adjusting? And that, I think the coach's eye is just as valuable. And they're also kids, so it's not like I'm going to have a bunch of data on them. But once we hit middle school, like you said, teaching them how to decelerate and control their landing. And then when they're in like 7th or 8th grade, then it's like, okay, we're going to measure a broad jump or a vertical jump and see where they're at, and then reevaluate that in their high school years once they start to load and develop the muscle strength to have more power output. So that's when it comes back to the physical maturity side of it. Now, fasting. So yes, youth athletes listening, don't pay attention. But I was when I tweeted this, I was talking more about just coach health. And I do it not for weight loss. And I think a lot of people look at fasting because they're like, oh yeah, I just want to lose weight. Like, and I'm like, you're going to quit on day 2, my friend, you know. You have to have that greater reason to want to do it, and really look at the science behind it, as far as just your brain health. And I do it more for mental clarity and to have more energy. So right now I'm fat in a fasted state, and I usually just am in a fasted state in my mornings, because that's when I'm doing like my most focused and articulate work. And the benefits for me mentally have been huge. But then, you know, the body composition just follows. And that's a nice byproduct of it, of course. But also for spiritual reasons, and just, you know, not giving yourself pleasures right away, or over consuming. And I found, in terms of health, like sometimes cutting out things is for your benefit. You know, fasting, or cutting out social media, or alcohol. I don't drink anymore. So that's been huge for me. But you have to have a deeper reason to fast. And I think all coaches should explore it, especially if you're in a very demanding job. It's really good for mental clarity.
Wow, thanks for sharing that. On that topic, the biggest advice I would give to an athlete who's worried about body composition, or you know, fat loss or whatever, is, first of all, love yourself unconditionally. Like, before you go in the weight room, before you start looking in the mirror, say, hey, you're special, you're unique. You, like, that's the first step of like self-acceptance before you even go on the diet road, which I don't even like the word diet. But
Right.
honestly, and I've had amazing success with this, both with myself and my clients and athletes. Focus more on performance, and as you said, the body composition will come. If you're constantly getting stronger and faster and better at your sport, your body's gonna adapt to your regimen. And obviously, don't eat like donuts all day, unless they're really good donuts, and maybe, you know, have them in your regimen.
Yes.
But like, the more you focus on weight loss, the more it becomes this, you know, endless journey of a black hole that you never go back. And a lot of times, if you overtrain and then undereat, it just turns into like this endless cycle of eating disorders, you know, muscle damage, never recovering properly from workouts. And it's just, more ice is coming. Oh no. Okay, it's, I know, yeah. Anyways, yeah. Sorry, went off track for a second. The more you go down the calorie restriction road, the more it's going to harm you in the long run. Whereas the more we go down the performance road, the better you're going to feel, the stronger you're going to be. And on that being said, you know, Instagram, Facebook, you also said about cutting off social media, they're giving us this constant image, not just of aesthetics, but actually performance aesthetics. Like, you see these athletes doing this ridiculous shit. Even coaches, like, many coaches are guilty of like, do this like side reverse lunge pivot jerk combo, passing a kettlebell between your legs. And I'm like, how about I just do a regular lunge with them? I think that'll be
Yeah,
just as efficient. So it
like a
gives us,
100-pound lunge or something.
yeah, it gives them like a false reality, both, you know, of physical capacity and of how their body should look. When in reality, if we focus on our own journey and over time progress on our in the gym, on the field, you know, the pounds will come off, and we'll be, well, forget about if the pounds come off or not, but we'll be functional, we'll be performing. And it doesn't really matter if someone weighs 100 pounds or weighs 120 pounds or 180 pounds or 190 pounds. If they're performing at their very best, you know, their coaches are going to, they're going to be fine. They're going to dominate their sport. And obviously, if weight is a problem, then, you know, there's nutritionists, there's psychologists. We're coaches are the mentor for them. But if we have to pass them on to a specialist who can help them, you know, with the emotional or psychological side of things, you know, I would do that as a coach as well. Other point I wanted to mention, you mentioned about fasting. I forgot what I wanted to mention at this moment, so I'll pass it back to you with some reflection on what I said, and it will come to me.
Okay. Yeah, well, you mentioned overtraining and under eating, and that has been the biggest issue I've observed, especially in young female athletes. And you know, there's so many reasons for this. I mean, it could be pressure coming from the coach or the parent to lose weight, and we have to be very careful of the language that we use. And like you said, the focus needs to be performance. So if you're a coach or a parent, instead of saying, oh, well, you need to lose weight or you need to cut back on your body fat, let's build your total body strength. Let's make sure your bones and tendons and ligaments are durable enough to handle the year-round grind. Let's make sure that you are fueled enough so that you're supporting your muscle recovery and your growth and your energy levels. And energy and just overall feeling are the two things that I always mention to the girls to pay attention to. So if your energy levels are chronically low, or your mood is always oscillating and you just feel off, then something needs to be changed. So you need to change your environment, whether it's recovering more or nourishing and fueling your body more. And those are usually the two that need to be fixed. And coming back to just social media, it is hard because a lot of girls are comparing their bodies to other athletes or just other celebrities. But it's also, and I posted this morning before we got on, social media is also distracting us from ourselves and how we feel. The majority of humanity has no clue what they're feeling right now or what they need, you know. And it makes sense because everyone's constantly distracted and just stimulated by something outside of themselves that they forget themselves. So most people don't know that they're underhydrated, they're undernourished, they're underfueled, they're underrested, they're overstimulated, always stressed out. They don't know this because they're paying attention to something else and they're not paying attention to themselves. So I've been just trying to reinforce to all my girls, you need to take time away from tech. And I'm going to be annoying with this message. Like, you guys start with 30 minutes a day, then bump it up to 45, then go to an hour. Like, see how long you can go and listen to your body and what it needs. And what it's also going to do is it's going to give your brain a break from wanting to always think about something. And a lot of them always complain, oh, well, Coach Erica, like, I'm always overthinking, or I don't want to make mistakes, and I'm always getting performance anxiety. And my solution is start with getting off tech.
That's like a classic example of something that they won't teach it to you in training school. They won't teach it to you in any strength and conditioning seminar. But I totally agree with you. It's one of the most destructive habits we have as humans. And, you know, both of us, I'm not sure your age, I won't ask, but both of us grew up in, I assume both of us grew up in an era without cell phones. Like
90s, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. 90s, baby. This shit didn't exist. Like, we didn't have all these. We had maybe I remember vaguely, we like at some point in my child to teenagehood, I had like the flip phone that had like this big antenna or something like that. But we didn't have this we didn't have these distractions so accessible. Now I'm gonna like jump back into fasting for a second, then jump back into the Instagram, Facebook trap. So one of my clients
Yeah.
is a very devout Christian, and he was saying to me that Christians have a month of, perhaps you're more familiar with this. I'm Jewish, so I don't know so much about Christianity, but they have a month of where they're supposed to be abstaining from something, similar to how Muslims have Ramadan. And
Yep.
he was like, yeah, some people fast. And I said, what about fasting from like technology? What about like taking a month off Facebook? He's like, yeah, many people do that. So
Yeah.
in today's
Yeah.
day and age, and once again, this is a topic for maybe later on in the podcast or a different episode, but religion and spirituality are not the same thing. But if someone wants to be spiritual and connect to, the higher power, or connect, or just, take a break, taking a week or taking even a few hours in the day off social media is a form of fasting, abstaining yourself from something that
Yes.
you get. Yeah, I'm speaking your language, right? I saw like that.
Yeah,
Like,
well,
oh,
I
yeah.
call it it's the dopamine
Yeah.
detox. That's what it is. And dopamine's it's the seeking part of you. And like when you stop, scrolling or looking for likes or this next thing, it's like, you can return back to your creativity and the present moment, and that's like the most powerful, or the flow state to be in. So yeah, it's like social media fasting is powerful, very
Yeah.
powerful.
I love you use the word flow state. I use the word like creative energy a lot, but I'm gonna forget what I wanted to say before, so I'm just gonna jump back into it.
We're all over the place. It's
Yeah,
fine.
it's like a coach thing. Like I feel like sometimes my mind is whirring at like 17,000 cogs a minute, and that's
Yeah, yeah.
probably largely due to Facebook and Instagram. Like it puts you in this state of like next engagement, next interaction, and it's like, bro, that's not how life works. Everything's slow. That's why nature is
Yes.
so good. The nature is
Yes.
the polar. We're on the same
Yo,
page.
so I have a tattoo on my ribs of Lao Tzu, and
Yeah.
his quote is, "Nature does not hurry, yet everything is accomplished." So
Nice.
it's like this mind-blowing quote, and it's like, wow, like nature's so beautiful, but it takes its time, man.
Nature is I would say the exact opposite of social media. Like I went yesterday,
Yeah.
I'm okay. 1 second, backtracking, and I'm gonna come back to this in a second. Cool. So back to fasting for a moment. For those out there who do want like the effects of physical fasting, as in abstaining from food without, it killing your day. So there's the easy like 16-hour fasting, which means you have some sort of cutoff point. Let's say you have dinner at like 6-7 p.m. You sleep. That's already 8 to 10 hours of fasting. And then you skip breakfast. Then you have lunch, and you or you, he, she, it, they, when, where, who, where, then will probably not even feel it, because all you're doing is skipping breakfast. Now, to get into the like physiological stuff of it, is also benefits of training fasted. I did a bunch of like random research on this.
Yes,
I
yes.
usually start my day training fasted. Now, some days it will be more of like a light walk with my dog Charlie, or some movement, some mobility / yoga, some meditation. And other days will be the training hard and heavy. When I'm training hard and heavy, so there's two concepts happening there. One is that there may or may not be some advanced there may be some advanced muscle breakdown if you're training in a fasted state, especially if you're doing rigorous strength training. There also may be accelerated fat loss when training in a fasted state. So I'm not super into supplement, especially as I explore my journey as a human being. I'm much more likely to eat whole, nutritious foods rather than jump to supplements. And of course, youth athletes out there, please eat your mama's home cooked chicken dinner.
Yeah.
Don't jump to like creatine quite yet. We're talking about youth
Yeah.
athletes. But if I'm like feeling, tired already, and I do want to maintain the fasted state, there is benefits of having like, I did some studies in this, some BCAAs or EAAs, some sort of amino acid, or even like 10 grams of a protein shake, or just something to maintain the fasted state while training. So people out there who want to try it, give it a shot. It won't even affect you that, negative. You won't feel that you're like missing food. That was regarding physically fasting. Now, regarding social media. So as a human being, I realize social media drains me. I have this concept that I made up called creative energy. And I think that every human out there has is the word finite or finite?
Yes. Yes.
Which one? Finite?
Fine.
So I believe that every human has this like finite amount of creative energy. Now, if they're gonna wake up and spend half an hour on social media, they drain the quarter of it. Then they go to work and they slave away for someone else. They hate their job. They're sitting all day in front of a computer. They drained another chunk of it. Then they go home and they maybe have willpower to work out, maybe, and they drained another chunk of it, and they just have no time or patience for fulfilling their dream or doing anything. On the other hand, if the first thing you do when you wake up is like spend time with loved ones or go outside in nature, you're actually increasing your ability to create. This willpower creative energy meter just gets bigger and bigger. And when you journal, you're creating life to your thoughts. When you even like my wife just started taking up crocheting, so she like knits stuff. She's physically creating something, as opposed to Facebook or Instagram, which like just drains you. It sucks your energy away. And yeah,
Yeah.
so what I started doing is every month I do like a monk week of sorts, where it's 3 to 5 days off social media, which sucks because Instagram and Facebook are our lifelines to an extent as coaches. You advertise your stuff there. I never would have met you if I didn't see your awesome Instagram. But even as coaches, we're human beings. And something I learned from someone I follow, the Foot Collective, he lives in Canada,
Yes.
is that he'll post about it. He'll be like, hey guys, taking a monk week, been out, been real. So you can tap into his journey, and it's not like, oh, how come he hasn't posted in 2 weeks? Not that anyone really cares. No one's really, hey, he or she didn't post in a week. Where'd she go? But as Jews, we do have the Sabbath, which is essentially like, as you know, I'm not strictly observant, but Sabbath is a time where there's no electronics. So no phones, no computers, no lights. We like cook food in advance. You just have a 24-hour reset, just time to spend with loved ones. Obviously, everyone can take that where they want it. But for me, it's been a blessing to no work, my phone's off, leave me alone world. And whenever I need a longer extended break off social media, I do that like 3 to 5 monk week. And I'll usually do a 3 to 5 hike along with it to kind of counter all the computer toxins I've been exposed to. And this is something I encourage all people to do, not just athletes, but athletes need it more because we're always beating up our bodies. So we need as much positive energy in our life as possible.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Everything you said is just so good. I don't even like know where to begin, but I'm like I love that you mentioned that social media just it's an energy sucker. Like even if you're following accounts like, when we're connecting with each other or we're following like coaches we love or role models, like yeah, like that's great. And we're getting positive information that serves us, but we're still stimulating our nervous system and we're still like getting that dopamine hit. So we have to take a break from that for our creativity. And I'm starting to have like flashbacks to when I lived in Brazil for a year. And a lot of people would say, oh, well, Brazil, they're not that civilized. And it's like, well, define civilized, and not a lot of people can give me an answer. And I really think like here in the States we're like over civilized to death. Like we're over consuming, we're overeating, we're over stressing. We're just constantly wanting like more, when it's just coming back to like when we like really need to take things away for our health. And when I lived in Brazil, I had taken a trip out to the Amazon jungle, and it was one of the most enriching times of my life, just being in nature for that long and just being in the quiet and in the sun and, just moving my body every day, like fishing, like getting food, eating bugs, like crazy stuff. Got the best sleep I've ever gotten in my life. Probably because we were just so in tune with our circadian rhythms and just the rise of the sun and the sunset. But it's interesting when people look at different countries and cultures, they judge and they're like, oh, well, that country is not good enough because they don't have, the iPhone 12. And it's like, well, like what do you value more? Do you value being overstimulated and constantly seeking pleasure all the time? Or do you value being back in the present moment and living through your creative energy? So I always found that very interesting.
For those who struggle with social media and are too scared to take the leap of taking a day off, because at the end of the day it's addicting and it's tough to take the day off, take the week off. So something that worked for me as well, especially for coaches and health professionals such as us who use it primarily for marketing and getting our content out there. So it's tough just to quit completely. So what I try doing is either one of two options. Either I give myself like a daily quota where it's like, all right, you have 10 minutes on Instagram today. If it takes 7 minutes to make your post, assuming it's edited already, you have 3 minutes to see what Erica has to say today or whatever it is. Also, another tip I do is I only follow people on Instagram who I can get value from. Now that sounds kind of selfish, but it's either close friends or people who educate me. So the next time some woman dressed in who knows what shows up, like, get off my feed, man. I wanna be educated. I don't want to be distracted. I don't want to be seeing some stupid gimmicky whatever or something. So I'm pretty picky about who I follow, that people who I can empower me, who learn from, or people who I, connect with in person. That helps me as well. That way it minimizes distraction. And the time quota thing has done me wonders. Like, it turns, instead of checking it like 17 times a day, to, ooh, did someone comment on my post to give me, boom, a dopamine fix? Did someone message me? Did someone tag me in their story? Did someone blah, blah, blah? It's like, all right, twice a day is around the limit. I don't even do it in the morning anymore. I first do my spiritual practice, which is meditation, journaling, taking the dog out, cold exposure, too much stuff at once. But then I'll work out. Then my post was usually edited the day before. Then I'll upload my post. I'll hang out for a few minutes if, someone comments, so I click reply to them, or someone messages me. And then in the evening, I'll check it again. And it gives you the dopamine you need without it taking over your life. And it's a struggle, as I'm a human being who struggles, and that's okay. And
I love that. And I was thinking like about just like your methods, but like taking a break in like certain time pockets, like maybe like an hour or 2 hours a day where you just like don't check your phone at all and just like start really small. And like, you don't need to check if you get comments or likes right away. Like, approach it from an abundance mindset. They're always going to be there. Like, they're not going to like disappear if you don't check your notifications right away. Like, they'll be there the next day, and then you can get back to someone's comment or see how many likes you got. Like, it doesn't matter. It's always going to be there. And then another thing I was thinking was, if parents truly want their kids to excel in their sports, these are some of the hard things they're going to have to execute. And I think everyone's under the impression, well, I just need to hire, the next skills trainer or this amazing speed guru. And it's about the trainer. And it's really about the daily habits that they're doing at home. And I've written a blog on this. It was like unconventional ways like young athletes can get an edge, because everyone wants to get an edge, And one of them was drink your bone broth, meditate daily, get off tech, and really dial in on your sleep. And if you can master those daily, and also get in your nourishment, but if you can master those daily as a young athlete, then you are potent. Like you are like outdoing all of your neighbors, like, because none of these kids know these. I would consider these secrets nowadays, but a lot of kids aren't doing these things. So if people really want to get an edge and feel energized and fulfilled and motivated and focused and creative in their sport, do these things.
It's also because it's not taught in school. No. We're not taught this. In courses, we're not taught this. I'm also writing a book as well, and like the book is going to be with a lot of those. Yeah, it's going to be fun. It's going to, like, a lot of those hacks, like the things that they don't mention in school. Take your shoes off, go move more, spend some time in sunshine. The book's going to be called The Active Couch Potato. It's going to be a fun.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. Let me know when it's out.
I definitely will. It's going to be a fun read. But like, we expect kids to sit for eight hours a day in school with half an hour of recess. I think it should be the opposite. I think we should move for 8 hours, learn things more hands-on. Like, you want to learn math, build a house, and you'll learn the angles very nicely. And then maybe half an hour of like sitting on the floor, learning to read and write, and those basic skills. And kids are constantly like pushed to fit in this box, but they're not meant to be. Kids are supposed to be exploring themselves, hanging out, going on the monkey bars. It goes back to movement. A kid should not be just playing baseball. They should be playing baseball, jumping in the park, frolicking, frisbeeing, monkey barring, and pulling, pushing thing. And it's only because our flaws of the 20th century that we have to teach them the fundamental movement patterns in the gym, instead of it being that it's something that they picked up on their own because they were hunting down mountain lions to eat for dinner, or whatever it was. Right.
That's so true.
there is a book by Katie Bowman called Move Your DNA. Have you ever read it?
I have not. I'll have to check that out.
It's a good read. Now, I'm a performance coach, so I don't inherently agree with everything she says, because at the end of the day, the disclaimer is both you and I are training athletes to perform better at their sport. So if you want to perform better at soccer, you have to kick a ball around, and you have to get faster, and do a lot of, and learn how to change direction. So you can't just like sit in a squat position and grind your herbs from your garden that you grew for your tea. But her like concept is like an African tribe, the kid's moving from like 1 year old. He's not being carried in a sling. He's being carried around in their hands. So instead of being like a bassinet, which supports him, his core in his neck. You spoke about concussions,
Yeah.
has to adapt to the like running of his father and mother as they hunt food. And then when he's 2 years old, he's already learning to walk. He's already perfected the squat at 2 years old, and he keeps it. He's foraging and rummaging berries, he or she, at a young age. And he's always active. Like, you don't have to go work out because his whole life is movement. Now, that approach could work for like what a friend of mine calls a NARP, a non-athletic regular person. But if you want to get good at, if you want to get good at a sport, you do have to, do some specialization training. But just as humans, and with this, I think we can move on to like the next topic. We have to move more. As humans, we have to move more. Now, I don't mean play 17 sports. I mean, I have a pomegranate tree right in front of me. Go to the tree, pick a pomegranate, and eat it. You just got a triple extension step up and got an overhead, whatever you want to call it, overhead pull down, but it's not that complicated. All I did was pick a fruit from the tree, right? Yeah. So movement, yeah. Talk to me.
Yeah, I was just thinking like what I've read as far as like neuroscience, and I don't know if you've heard of the book Spark, but it's just an amazing book on why humans need movement for their brains. So when you do something as simple as like walking or cross crawling for babies, you are activating the left and right hemisphere of your brain, and they're working together, and you're not just dominated by one side. So movement's very powerful for your ability to think and to do your work. And it's something that is going to be a part of these kids' lives. Even when they're done playing sports, they still have to move, and they still have to be healthy. And it's not enough to just walk every day. Like, I truly believe when you're done playing sports, or even if you didn't play sports at all, you should be an athlete for life. And you should be able to build your muscles in your 50s, 60s, and 70s so that you're not getting knee or hip replacements. This is a continuous athletic journey for everyone. And I used to train senior citizens early in my career while I was training kids at the same time. And they were some of the most inspiring people I worked with, because they just wanted to be able to walk to their mailbox without tripping over themselves or falling, and no one was there to help them because maybe they're living alone and they their companion passed away. Whatever it is, like, people need to learn to still take care of themselves for their longevity and their strength. And that's why it's important for kids to get them started young on their movement journey. And I always say to my boyfriend, like, once I become a parent, like, my kids are going to be the most freaking active and nourished kids out there. Like, like, just knowing what I know about the impacts on health and their brain and everything in their lives, it's huge. So I highly recommend people check out the book Spark, and then the book Smart Moves is really good. And then the Athletic Skills Model is also an amazing read for youth movement, neuroscience, and just overall athletic development.
Yeah, I mean, movement and moving your body in a flow range of motion as much as possible should never have been a let's teach a mobility class. It should have been a fundamental primal thing that came with us. We lost it in the era of sitting in front of computers, sitting in front of TV, sitting on our phones slouched over, and we kind of have to undo the damage before we can even delve into the advanced things. Disclaimer time, I'm at like the 50-minute ice bath mark. This is when like my brain slows down a bit. Like, I'm almost breaking my record. My record is 60 minutes and it's been like 54 minutes. So we'll break my record.
Wow.
We'll break my, it's not that cold because it's more of like a springy day, but I did add a lot of ice before, so it'll be fun. So I'm like moving a lot, trying to prevent, like, I'm going from a squat to kneeling to lunging. That's why I'm like moving so much. But
no, you're good.
Yeah. Anyways, regarding movement. So this doesn't just apply to youth athletes. I think it applies to professional, elite athletes as well. the 3 to 5 to 10, whatever amount of gym sessions you're doing, plus the field work, that's all important. And that's what I call high intensity specific work. This work is meant to, make you better, whether it's make you stronger, make you more powerful, reaction time, rate of force development, multilinear development, whatever it is. These are all things that are high impact. So you can't, beat yourself up in the gym 5 hours. I'm starting to shiver a bit. I'm good. 1 second.
You're good. By the way, I have to leave in like 10 minutes if that's sweet. Okay.
No, yeah, of course. We'll wrap
break
up.
Your record though.
Yeah, hell yeah. Just deep diaphragmatic breath. Anyways, the high impact stuff you're gonna need to recover from. You can't be, beating yourself up in the gym 5-10 hours a day. The low impact stuff, like walking, playing with your kids, walking your dog, frisbee, slacklining, volleyball, whatever you're into, the more the merrier. Now, I don't mean hike 20 hours a day, because they'll probably impact your body's ability to recover from the high impact stuff. But if you're constantly moving in the light flow, you go from sitting to standing to kneeling, sitting less on the couch, taking your shoes off more, and taking the things away that restrict mobility, you're actually constantly increasing your body's ability to recover. So my methodology evolved as a coach. 1 second, sorry. Just like shivering a bit. My methodology evolved as a coach from like, all right, let's get your workouts. Let's get 3 sets of 6 and let's go up and weigh and go home and go do whatever you want. It's like, hey, how about instead of driving to me, start walking to me? And how about, when you go out tonight to that event, I know it's gonna be a 3-hour event, every like half an hour, get up and take a small walk. And I also, like, in the past 2 years, I haven't worn any sort of tight constricted shoe. I own 18 pairs of barefoot shoes. Shoe addict. I don't sit on couches anymore. I do all my programming work. I use Train Heroic on the floor. I ice bath every day. I rarely sit. I spend a lot of time walking barefoot. In addition to my gym sessions every week, I slackline every day. I frisbee. Like, I incorporated movement practice. And what's cool is that even if I never did another gym session in my life, I would still be strong. I would still be fast. I would still be athletic, because movement, not gym, not strength training, movement is now part of my lifestyle. And I've been able to carry that over to my athletes as well. It's just been a blessing.
I love that. And those are just like, again, those like small daily practices that just, they compound over time into your movement and the health of your body and the piggy bank of your strength. And I think it's important for people to realize that it's simple. Just coming back to the simplicity of it. Like, you don't need like this fancy gym or this crazy membership or this like new like workout routine or whatever it is. You just need variety of movement, walking, sitting on the floor, standing up with no hands from the floor, walking barefoot, climbing trees, just hobbies you enjoy, golfing, biking, just move, and I think the general rule of thumb from a Serbian neuroscientist is move 6 to 8 miles a day. Accumulate.
I like that.
Yeah. So I guess if people have Fitbits and we're tracking steps, that's probably over like 15,000 steps, I'd assume. So just to put things into perspective, that's what humans need daily, all ages. I don't care who you are. So we'll say like ages 6 and up.
even if someone's not an athlete, the end goal for them should be, when I'm 80 years old, am I going to be able to, it doesn't have to be, but this is how I would see it. Am I going to be able to pick my grandkid above my head? Am I going to be able to lead by example when I take my son or grandson or granddaughter to the park and like show them how to use the monkey bars? Or am I going to be that guy or girl, in the wheelchair, incapable? And those are the athletic goals for a regular human being. You don't have to be the most muscly dude or dudette on the planet. You don't have to be the fastest, but you do want to have a full range of motion and have healthy, functioning body that you can lead by example. Another concept that I also like adding is journaling. I find it very helpful both for myself and for athletes. Like, if something's on their mind, I'll literally stop the strength session, like stop the squat and, hey, here's your, take your notebook out, write down your emotions. What's bothering you? And that's kind of the emotional training that, once again, not mentioned in the courses, not mentioned in anywhere. Let's wrap up because, I'm getting cold and you probably have to go enjoy the sunny summer skies. But can you tell us where we can find you, what you like, a little bit more about what you do? Meaning your website, your Instagram, your Facebook, your programs that you potentially offer.
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Fit Soccer Queen, and my website is ericasuter.com. So if you head to my Instagram or Twitter, the link is in my bio, and you can get online training there. You can get free content like blogs and exercise videos. So there's definitely something there for everyone.
Wow. So Erica, it was an absolute pleasure to have you on the episode. I had a feeling we'd connect just from like reading your
Yeah.
posts. I think we have the same exact philosophy in different parts of the world. So thank you for spending your time with me in the almost in the ice bath. And yeah, looking forward to future collaborations.
Yeah, me too, Sean. I knew this would be great, and was probably one of my favorite conversations so far.
Amazing.
So I'm like really excited for this to get out there, and I really can't wait to share it with my audience.
Hell yeah. All right. Awesome. Have an amazing weekend full of happiness and love. And I'll see you next time.
Thank you. Yeah, I'll talk to you
Bye
soon.
bye.
Bye.